Well, good evening, folks. Welcome to the program here again tonight on the Cosmic Connections. I'm Dave Schmidt. I'm your host here, and this is the October 13th program as we are here and appearing live on the air. And I'm looking over also as we're live streaming to Facebook. Everything looks good there as well. So all is good here tonight. And thank you for those that are already kind of sending in messages on Facebook that everything is sounding good and everything is okay. And with that, Blanca, how are you doing on this fine evening here in mid-October?
Doing very well, Dave. Thank you. As I said, it was a busy day, but a good day, and the leaves are starting to turn in Georgia.
Well, as I said, in southern Florida, it's endless summer. I mean, it was funny.
Right.
I grew up in Oregon, about 25 miles out of Portland. And I noticed they're posting at Timberline Lodge at Mount Hood, which is about 7,000 feet elevation. They've already got 8 inches of snow and it's coming down hard. And there's other places up in the northwest that are snowing. And I think it was, 84 degrees here today in southern Florida.
Well, we have very pleasant weather, but it's nice to start seeing, we're starting to see some of the rust and some of the yellows just starting to peek out. And of course, every year I get to tell you about how lovely the fall colors are, but we're just starting to see them this week.
Well, you're just starting to see them, I know, in Georgia, but I set up in the northern states, they've had them already for 3 and 4 weeks. So yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes. Yeah. So, well, I think I'm ready to probably go in and making some announcements. I did put out what we're going to talk about on the program tonight. We're going to talk about what is basically about our perceptions and our own identity and how it helps us in assisting who we are and what we can do and what we can create within our lives. But before I get into that, yes, the workshops are back. Hallelujah. I'm glad that we're ready to do that. And so the first workshop is going to be in Dallas, Fort Worth, on November 6th. That's 3 weeks from this coming Saturday. And again, folks, just remember, if funds are a little bit tight for you, I do offer the scholarship rates. I just want to always make sure that we have enough people to show up so I can pay for all my expenses of making the trip. And there's always something great, though, about when we get people together with each other, live discussions. And it's amazing because, when I go into the Q&A time, is that sometimes that can go on for an hour and a half to 2.5 hours. And we get into great discussions with each other and a lot of good information. And then also, regarding the currency exchange, I can always give much, much more in-depth information at the workshops than what I can say here live on the air. I am in what is called a modified kind of non-disclosure agreement. So I'm limited to what details or what I can say here on the air, other than the fact that, it's there and it's real and the money's real. And yes, I know who it is. And but what happens is I have opportunities open up to add more people to the first round of the exchange. Now, I don't know when that is going to happen. That's up to, the buyers and the sellers, that they tell me, when we can bring some more people in. And it's usually when I can add people, it's not a large number of people. It's usually no more between 10 and 20 at each opportunity. So what I do is I say, for those who attend the workshops, you are always the ones who have the first opportunity to fill any vacant slots that I might have in being able to, be added to the first round. And there's a very, very high probability I will be able to do that for this first workshop in Dallas, Fort Worth, coming up in about 3.5 weeks. I don't have the exact answers on that yet. I won't know the exact answers until maybe 4 to 6 days before the workshop. But let's just say there's a very high probability that if you attend, you will be able to be added to round 1 of the exchange, for those of you that would like to do that. And Carlos, yes, I do want to be coming over to Puerto Rico. That was on my list to come over and want to do a workshop there. But, I've got to kind of wait until they open up a little bit more on the the COVID restrictions because they were gonna have. I was gonna have to go through, the either you got to get tested before you get or get tested when you get off the plane, and then you got to go into kind of a seclusion for 3 or 4 days. It's just there's all kinds of crazy stuff. So I want to wait for that to get done before I'm coming over to Puerto Rico because within the continental United States, we don't have any restrictions going from state to state. But Puerto Rico has kind of treated themselves kind of like as their own separate country of what they've done there. So, but that's it. So we would love to have you coming to the workshop there in Dallas Fort Worth on November 6th, and then 4 weeks after that, on December 4th, I will be doing one in Orlando, here in Central Florida, and those are the two for this year. Is what I will do, and then what I do, I take a break over the holiday season, and then I usually start up again on the third week in January. I don't have a location for that yet. I'll still work on that, but I do know the primary locations after Dallas and Orlando. I'm looking again Southern California, Chicago, the Northwest, and Seattle. Also, Kansas City was on my list. Puerto Rico was on my list. So possibly up in the Northeast in Philadelphia. So those are the ones that I'm looking at. But I don't have anything specific on the agenda there yet. So with that, Blanca, what would you like to share with the information there?
Well, that's cool. I'm glad to hear you're going to do some workshops. And I agree, as you said, it's nice to get the group together, especially now there's just so much turbulence and things are happening so quickly that when we're together, especially like-minded, like-hearted people, it's just a good thing to get the energies together. In terms of content, Dave, do you want to maybe share what you're thinking of presenting, or just so people get an idea?
Well, I'm kind of, there's always some of the information that's repetitive, but I'm also going to be shifting to moving more in conjunction with what I'm talking about here tonight. It's always back to, why is this happening for us? Why are we getting to participate in this currency exchange? Because, folks, it's not just about getting money. It's about what the purpose of the money is, what it can do for you, and how it helps you shift what is called your consciousness, your thinking around having money, about having what is called prosperity, about having abundance, how all those things fit into changing our lives and changing our world. And, we're going to talk about this tonight. We are clearly moving into a new era for humanity, where we are going to start discovering our potential of who we are and what we can accomplish. But most of that, it takes a lot of work, because you have to go in and do the work to reprogram your subconscious mind, is where we live from on day to day. Because see, 95% of our day is lived from the subconscious mind. Only 5% of our day is lived from our conscious mind, because that's where all the memories are stored that become habitual for us of how we react and what we do. And so how we view and see ourselves is all a process, the part of the memories we've built up in our subconscious mind. And the funds is giving us the financial freedom so we have the time to do the work to reprogram that part. Because the subconscious mind is a program, and programs can be rewritten. That's the real purpose of the money. And so I talk more about that, how it fits into that. What are we going to do after the funds come forward and stuff like that. So back to you, Blanca.
Very good. Excellent. Also, I'm sure, because you do go in a little deeper in terms of how you see perhaps the currency exchange unfolding, there's a lot of interesting events happening as well that give us a sense that things are progressing in an interesting way. Let's put it this way, the matrix is starting to show what direction it's going in, so I know that'll be an interesting conversation, that you have more freedom to talk about that
yes,
at
I do.
workshop.
It's the problem is that when I do this on the air, it's recorded, and once you put something on the internet, you have no control. I mean, anybody can take this program, can, record it, can save it, and because it's always posted, and saved on my Facebook page. And there's software out there that they can take it and change it and make it say anything they want to say. They can take my voice, digitize it, and then type in. There are software programs, and then type in what they want to say, and then use my digitized voice sound so it sounds like I am the one that is saying it. Now, your lips don't exactly line up with it, but they can do a pretty good job of that. So they can turn around and say whatever they want to say. And remember, folks, there are groups, people, organizations out there that do not want this money moving. And that's what slowed it down recently because of the attacks that had come from those that we would call the deep state, the cabal. They put some attacks upon our funding sources when they started to releasing it. And they know that I, as an aggregator, have literally, through various levels, thousands of people underneath me through this first, exchange of the dong, that I had brought in and turned into the brokers and the buyers. So that's why I can always say so much more at a workshop, because it's not recorded. It's a small group. I know who is there. If anything leaks out, I know who to turn to and find out who did it. And I share stuff with you that, basically you've got a non-disclosure agreement also attending the workshop. So, but I can just give a much bigger, fuller story there. So, okay, back to you, Blanca.
Yes. Okay. So that's good. Well, it's been a while since you've done it, so I want to make sure people understand what's in store, and so that is really cool because a lot has happened and gives us a lot of indication how this might actually come to pass. So that would be a great discussion. Also, what's exciting is that it looks like there's a possibility, and you won't know that for a few days, that perhaps more people will have the opportunity to be part of the first round of the currency exchange, and that is really exciting. Now, Dave, do they need to bring currency to the workshop, or how is that going to work if indeed the window opens up again?
I don't want them to bring any currency to the workshop. What I will do, I will announce at the workshop whether we can or cannot, and I said it's very high probability. And then assuming that we can, I give the instructions of what they can do to send it to me. There will be a limit. And if they don't have physical currency, they can also purchase that because I have some excess that they can purchase from me. So they don't have to go out and buy it. So, yeah. Well,
that's pretty easy. They just have to show up to make sure.
Just show up.
That if the window opens, they'll be there and to let you know if they're interested in participating. And then you'll give them instructions of what they need to do to be able to be included.
Yep. So, that's
okay.
It. So.
Well, really, really good. I think it's a great opportunity, and it's nice. You're going to do Dallas. Dallas has a nice kind of tradition of being the start of the workshop, so that's good that you're going there this year.
Okay. So, are we ready then to go on with the program?
I think so.
Okay. Well, folks, tonight I wanted to talk to someone about what is called understanding our true identity. Now, what does this mean? We are moving into a new era where humanity is starting to collectively understand who we truly are and what our true potential is. This has been hidden from us and kept from us for thousands and thousands of years. In fact, it goes all the way back to the history of the Anunnaki and the mastery that they had over our human bodies, our Homo sapien bodies. When they came in, they were absolute masters in genetics. They were some of the best in history of understanding the genetics of what happens in our human bodies. And over a period of time, now remember, they have the DNA that gives them the capability of living to be 300 to 400,000 years of our Earth years old. They can do that. So 5 to 10,000 years was nothing to them. And so, but they continued testing, and what they ended up doing was messing with the connected strands of the DNA that we have within us. Within our cells, there are what is called the double strands of the chromosomes, the double strands of the DNA, the double helix. And that's what we have of what is viewable. But what most people don't know is there are actually 12 strands of chromosomes in DNA within our cells, and 10 of those are disconnected, which means they are not connected, carrying the information. We as a human race used to have, this was, millennia and millennia ago, we used to have all 12 strands of our DNA connected, which meant that we were full, complete, multi-dimensional beings. We lived in a multi-dimensional state. We weren't limited to just this, what is called this third dimension physicality as we are today. And that was the result of disconnecting these strands. And what it did, it also dumbed us down, if that's the appropriate term to use. Because see, the more strands that we had connected, the more we were in touch, and our chakras were in touch with all the different aspects that would go around us in the universe. Once you got into what is called the 9th, 10th, and 12th strands connected, you were totally in touch with everything that was happening out there in the universe. The best way to describe this, in understanding this in conjunction with a computer, is to think in terms, if you have this absolutely massive broadband that has no limitations about how quickly and how fast it is connected to everything in the universe. That's what we used to be like. And then take that today with only 2 strands, it's like what we've got is this very limited width of broadband that can transmit limited information over only specific types of expressions of delivery. That's what happened to us. In essence, we were dumbed down by the Anunnaki. And when that happened, we lost the full potential of who we are and our capability. It's always been inside of us. It has never gone away. But this is the era that our DNA strands are starting to be reconnected. Now, don't ask me how long it's going to take and how many are, and I don't know. I do, and this is just my own feeling, is if you're listening to programs like this, if you're someone who is aware and awake and understanding the full spectrum of consciousness and awareness, in contrast to those who are not, I would say we already have 3 or 4 of our strands connected. If I can use an illustration, it's kind of like, if you go back to the movie The Matrix, there was the blue pill world and the red pill world. And the blue pill world was basically the third dimensional world of the Matrix program, and you were stuck to that, and you were limited to that perception of what life was like. And in the red pill world, you understood there was a whole nother world out there. Programmers and controllers that were attempting to control us. And the whole essence is to free yourself from their power and their impact upon us. This is the era that we are beginning to wake up. This is the era that we get to change this. I want to share with you a little quote, and I think it's this one. No, it's not that one. Let's go to this one, The Matrix. Now, this is also on my Facebook page if you want to get this. And this is I love this definition. What is the Matrix? It's a system put into place by the darkness that generates rules and regulations people must follow to support the system. The darkness operates through the matrix, an intricate system steeped in rules, patterns, and programs that exist to keep us enslaved. Once we're caught into its grips, The darkness hacks into our unconscious minds to dominate and restrict our behavior while generating the frequencies of fear, doubt, lack, and conflict in order to feed its own realm. Folks, that's one of those that you're going to want to go back and you're going to want to read it again slowly and think it through. That's the Matrix blue pill world that we've been caught into. And this is the era that humanity is getting to set themselves free. And as I said, what I read was the more we begin to awake, the more aware we become, the more we expand our consciousness, the faster these strands will start to be reconnected for us. Ultimately, we are moving back to becoming full multi-dimensional beings. But to do that, it takes work. As I said, it's a matter of reprogramming the unconscious mind. A.R. Borden said, the conscious mind, let me come back here to, let's go, however I'm on live now. He said, the conscious mind only processes 18 to 20 data bits of information per second. But the unconscious mind processes 60 to 80 million data bits of information per second. We predominantly live our lives from the memories of our unconscious mind. All of the lives that we have lived, and folks, we have all had multiple lifetimes because we're always frequently reincarnating because we have things to learn. The unconscious mind holds all the memories from all the lifetimes that we have ever lived. It's this massive storehouse of information that has to deal with this world that we live in. And we draw from that. And we draw from those memories. But we have been programmed to be dumbed down, to be limited, to be influenced that we can't do things. And we have pretty much lived our lives in different forms of slavery to these powerful controllers. Now, what I've said is it all started with the Anunnaki. Well, but what most people don't know, that those we call the deep state, those we call the cabal, are the minions to the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki control them, and they control our what is called our physical world that is here to attempt to keep us in this dumbed down state. But what the Anunnaki understands is they cannot stop our growth and progression. They can't stop that. So that's why they always wanted to keep us in a dumbed down state. They didn't want us to discover our true capability of who we are as humanity. What is our full potential? The full potential is everything we still have stored in that memory from when we were full, complete, multi-dimensional beings. Now, what I want to do next, I'm going to share a short video that comes from David Icke about how our perceptions are what determines
our
life.
perceptions become our reality all the time. A little me mind lives a little me life. The cult does not want us to know that, because suddenly we start to realize that there's not some external force or random chance all the time. A little me mind lives a little me life. A mind that sees itself in much greater terms lives a life in much greater terms. Our perceptions, not least of self, become our experience. Now, this cult knows that. That's why it wants to control our perception. It wants to control the information, which becomes our perception. Our perception becomes our behavior. Collective behavior becomes human society. You control perception, you control the nature of human society. As human perceptions become human experience. So the whole foundation is to keep us in ignorance of who we are, and to keep us, in terms of the greater self, fast asleep. Fast asleep where? In the five senses. The five senses that perceive the world and say, can I see it, touch it, taste it, hear it, and so on. Okay, it exists then. If I can't, it doesn't. It can't. And we are multi-dimensional entities, multi-dimensional consciousness. The five sense level, which perceives this world and gets mesmerized by it, is only one level. It's the level that directly interacts with the reality we call human. In fact, the way the body decodes information is human. It's what we call human. But there's infinite levels of us that we can tap into and see and get insight into the world of the five senses, which the five senses alone will never get, because they're in this world and they're of it, and they are only perceiving of it. And as I studied this cult and its modus operandi, I realized what the foundation of it was. And that is to isolate human perception of self and reality in the five senses. And if you think of a computer being the five sense level of reality, human mind, and the operator being expanded levels of consciousness, you're in an ideal situation then, because the operator and the computer are interacting. The operator's got the bigger picture. The computer then experiences directly, if you like, the internet. And you've got this, and the operator ideal interaction. What this cult wants to do is to get in that space between the operator and the computer, and actually appropriate given current events, to basically put a computer virus in the five senses. And in terms of humans, the five sense mind is responding to the computer virus, the nature of which I'll come to in a second. And expanded levels of consciousness are not having any influence. And what that does is put the five sense human mind into a state of extraordinary levels of myopia. And so when people come along and they talk about reality in a much more expanded way, or they talk about world events in a much more expanded way, like actually, the people in power are not actually the people in power. You've got to go back into the shadows to find that. So this cult wants to hold people, wants to hold the target population in that, what I call five sense bubble, that five sense prison cell. Look at the education system. Well, they call it that. And you'll see it's basically all about the five senses. It's stimulating the five senses all the time, and it going into expanded areas of possibility. Five senses, five senses, five senses. Learn. Absorb, download. Five senses, all of it. And you look at the media, it's all five senses. You look at government, it's all based on the five senses, all of it. The whole system is based on the five senses, because the cult has to keep us there to stop us expanding into our greater self, the true I, the eternal I, of which the five senses are just an experiential level for a short time called human. And when the body cycle is over, that which is experiencing consciousness moves on. And that's why near-death experiencers experience a very different reality once they leave the body. The reality that we're experiencing is just the way the body decodes reality. And like I say, the way the body decodes reality is what we call human. If you're in a body of an elephant, then the elephant will decode reality based on the information processing system of the body of the elephant and the genetic system of the elephant. So it perceives as an elephant and acts like an elephant. But when you leave the body, you're leaving that information processing system, and so you're no longer human. You are a much more expanded state of consciousness. And what the cult doesn't want is for us to realize any of that. These are the key things that are held in the secret society network. Secret society network, so they're kept secret from the population. They want the population to think that they are just little me, have no power, and either they're subject to the diktats of some god, or there's no point to their lives. You just better get through it and do what we say. And so this process of isolating humanity in the five senses and separating the separation, this is the key, separating the five sense perception from greater reality, greater self, the true I, is the whole foundation of the conspiracy. Always has been. And now we're seeing the next stage of that emerging. And this is what this is really about, of connecting the human body and the human brain to artificial intelligence. And so the idea of connecting the AI to the human body, the human brain, is that AI becomes the human mind. And AI will be operating only in the five sense level, basically, to hold human perception in the five sense level indefinitely. So what is awakening? Why do people who awaken, as it's called, start to see themselves and the world differently, and as it moves on, very differently? Been there, done that. It's because they first of all open their minds. What does that mean? They open the five senses to other possibilities. They don't just look at what you can see, touch, taste, etc., and what comes directly through the mainstream media and governments and teachers, who are often more mesmerized than their bloody kids they're supposed to be teaching. They allow other possibilities in.
I think that's a great short video that he has put together that talks about the domination and control from those that we call the cabal, and how they want to limit our perception. But this is the time that we're beginning to change. Let me share another little message here. There's a split in the earth timelines that has been prophesied for ages by many wise teachers. And we are living this now. It is increasingly important to focus on what you are creating and not be distracted by the lower realities playing out their karma. Stick to your mission. This split is basically what David Icke was talking about. Those that are attempting to keep us in the lower three-dimensional five senses world, in contrast to those of us that are waking up. Now let me share with you one more quote from Eckhart Tolle. It says, if you can catch yourself complaining in either speech or thought about a situation you find yourself in, what other people do or say, your surroundings, your life, your situation, even the weather. To complain is always non-acceptance of what is. It invariably carries an unconscious negative charge. And when you complain, you make yourself a victim, leave the situation or accept it, and all else is just madness. what he is saying here is what I have talked about, being in low vibrations of your thought versus high vibrations of your thought. And low vibrations is going to keep you stuck in that five senses world. This is the era and the opportunity of change. Now, I'm going to read some quotes, again, out of this wonderful book that I'm reading called the Sofia Code. It says, "We are here to save a planet, and this is not some ordinary lifetime to play small. The frequency of this transmission is set to bless your life and divine purpose with a resonance that activates a soul remembrance for how worthy you are to thrive in every area of your life. We are being initiated to step into our own sovereign ability to create heaven on earth by embodying the frequency of our divinity, one loving step at a time." And then what it says, this book is encoded to broadcast a living transmission that aligns you with the truth and frequency of your higher self-consciousness. And that self-consciousness is there to activate your highest potential and your soul's divine genome. Okay, I got some more here. As you read this codex, you remember who you really are through a biofeedback loop of cellular soul resonance, i.e., it lets you tap into the subconscious memory of who you really are. And it says the Sofia Code is a living transmission that accelerates your spiritual awakening beyond human logic and effort by focusing you solely upon your divinity. You are finally ready to receive the truth of your sovereign divinity and to cast off the deliberate forgetting and hiding of your true nature. These empowerments guide your awareness in how to command miracles by the power of your own I Am presence. And it's safe to remember and reveal who you really are. The Sofia Code operating system is designed to accelerate your emotional, mental, and physical ascension in progressive steps of radical transformation, quantum realization, and embodied self-mastery. Your higher self runs the Sofia Code operating system to progressively override and transmute the following: your inherited ancestral belief patterns, traumatic cellular imprints, your projected self-limitations, vows and oaths from other lifetimes, and the collective fears of humanity's consciousness that are stored in your carbon-based DNA. And what this higher self progressively does, it clears these socially conditioned programs that limit your awareness. An available quantum space is created within you to download the new belief systems that celebrate and express your true divine nature. This operating system has a speed of light processor, and it can install as many new beliefs that express your divinity as you allow through the creative power of your free will. You are a living master walking upon the earth. In this lifetime, you will remember who you really are. When I talk about reprogramming the subconscious mind, this book is one of the best that I have seen it will help you get on that way. This is a life-changing book. And another one that I have always shared with you frequently is this one here, Disappearance of the Universe by Gary Renard. These are life-changing books that will set you on a path of a new sense of awareness. Okay. In essence, you come back to the person who mastered that, who always lived at his greatest potential, and that was Jesus. And yes, he did all those miracles. And the important thing is to remember, he said that everything that I do, you can do also, and even more. And then so we're asking the question, as we look around us in this world that we live, why don't we see this stuff happening? And it's basically back to the fact that we've been living in this programmed life from these cabal-operated people who have kept us from truly understanding our full potential. And this is the era that we get to do the work to become those living masters that was talked about in the book there, the Sofia Code. So, with that, Blanca, I think I'm ready to come to you, and why don't you share your thoughts with us?
Well, I really enjoy David Icke. He's really good at, portraying our condition and the condition he calls them the cult. But of course, they're the masters of the matrix, right?
Yes.
And he's always really good. And he combined the point that you were trying to make too, that we live in limitation, and also we live in sleep. And so that when we wake up, we're realizing that we can really embrace being unlimited beings, and we're learning what that means. And I think right now is a good time for people to actually explore that. And I think that's why a lot of people saying I'm red-pilled, right? Because that just means they're exploring other possibilities, other ways of looking at reality, allowing other type of information to come in, not relying on the matrix authorities like they used to. And so I thought he made a very good point about that. Also, I really enjoyed you. Of course, we enjoy the Matrix because it's really good. But the definition that you shared about it's about fear, doubt, lack, and conflict, and I mean that just expresses exactly what we're seeing being played out in the Matrix right now. So to me, and I know you agree because we've talked about it, the fact that we can see it so plainly is evidence that we're waking up to it, and there's more light now in the Matrix. And there's one thing the Matrix can't stand is light and awareness.
Yeah. Very good. So, well, I don't have anything else I need to share. If you don't want to, are we ready to move on and let callers call in?
Yes, and you'll have to look somehow. My studio view disappeared, so you can kind of. Okay, I found it.
Oh, okay.
Right now we don't have any. Right now we don't have anyone, so you might want to give the number.
No,
and see if
folks.
Anyone wants to raise
If
their
you
hand.
would like to call in, if you have some questions or you would like to make some comments, that number is 515-605-9356. Again, that number is 515-605-9356, and then press 1 on your touch-tone phone, and that lets us know that you would like to either make some comments or that you have some questions. So we don't have anybody that right now. Oh, we just got one at area code 817. So let's go ahead and go on over to that caller. So area code 817, you're coming up. Let's see here. You're on the air, 817. How can we help you?
Yeah, hi, this is John. I was wondering, do you happen to know where the Dallas workshop is going to be?
It's on my website. It's on my website, and it's at the Dallas Fort Worth Marriott North, Airport North. It's right on the north side of the airport there, the Dallas Fort Worth Airport at the Marriott. And I sent it out in the newsletter, and also it's on my website.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking is because I still can't get it up on your email list.
Well, you can
I've
go to my
gotten the website.
You can go to my website, and it's there.
Yeah, I mean, how do I get back on your email list?
Send me an email, and I will check and see what the problems are on that. Why you're not getting the newsletter?
Yeah, has your email changed? Because I've got two emails.
No, just send it. Just both of them are fine. Dave Schmidt at msn.com or the Cosmic Connections at outlook.com. Either one's fine.
Okay, I'll give it another shot.
Yeah, Yeah, just send me
I'm
an
the
email,
good
remind
guy.
me of
I
this
hope
conversation, and then I will.
I'm one of the good guys.
What's that?
I said I'm one of the good guys. I hope I didn't get mixed up with some of the people you unsubscribed.
All right. Okay. Thanks, John.
Oh, thanks, Dave.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. All right. Bye bye. Yep. Okay. I'm not seeing anybody else there, Blanca. Are you seeing anybody else that wants to call in? We're not.
No, I don't. So
Yeah,
that
they've
might be
had they've had a couple minutes there from when I first announced it, and I don't see that. So I guess we're probably ready to call it a night tonight. How about you?
I am too, and I just encourage people to, step out, open up their perceptions. They're on the right track.
Great. Okay. And folks, remember, this program is always saved on my Facebook page, and then what I do is either tomorrow or the day after, I do a small editing in it, and I send it out of the newsletter. So, all right. Thank you very much, and then we'll see you next week.